episode 4 of the Magic and Life podcast. I am Pagogo, that's Kevin, and that's Sean, and we are your hosts. It's been a while, boys, since we have streamed.
Like 3 weeks, right?
Is it? Yeah, I think it has been 3
Maybe.
weeks.
At least three, I think.
We took 2 weeks off, I think.
Yeah, so that's kind of my fault. My wife gave birth.
Excuses.
So yeah, we had a baby. He's sleeping right now. It was a month early, so a little scary. Should happen, but overall we're good. And yeah, what about you guys? Anything eventful happen in your lives?
My fiance had 2 babies, so
Ooh,
take that.
get fucked.
Easy.
Idiot.
No, just normal life shit. Some wedding planning, things like that.
When's the date?
Nothing major.
It's September 18th.
March 20th. So, well, assuming all goes well. Of course.
September 18th. Kevin, is it your birthday today?
No, it was my birthday 9 days ago. Thanks, Pagogo.
That's true.
What
Happy
happened?
belated-
What
What a
happened
bad
9
friend.
days ago? I'm trying to remember what happened 9 days ago.
Yeah, you missed his birthday, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh, I was in the hospital.
No, you weren't.
Yeah, I was. Wait,
Good excuse.
hold on. 9 days ago. So I'm gonna look this up. 9 days ago, so that's a week. 1, 2, on the 9th. Oh, that was the day we had to rush my child to the hospital. So, fuck you.
Sounds like a bad excuse to me, bro.
Anyways, did you do anything special, Kevin?
For my birthday?
Yeah. Did you work very hard that day?
I did. I woke up to my birthday by working until 12:30 in the morning.
What time did you start, though?
8:30 in the
12:30
morning.
Oh no.
Nice.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah, I had a great time.
Yeah, that's cool.
Well then.
So let's talk about some magic.
Yeah, so did something big happen in Magic recently?
No.
Yeah, I think it's just standard stuff.
Oh, Mythic Invitational. No, Zendikar Rising is the big thing. I mean, Mythic Invitational did happen.
Did happen. Probably
We could talk about it, but
I don't know.
a little.
format's changed already because a new
Yeah.
set came out.
Yeah, it's at least shifting. New set came out 2 days ago? Yesterday.
Yesterday.
Yesterday. Yeah.
If you count yesterday with how bad the servers were, but yeah.
Came out today for me.
Right.
Yeah, so if you don't know, the servers were just complete shit yesterday. Complete constant black screens, constant loading screens. People just couldn't fucking play. Some people played a total of 5 or 6 games in the course of 8 hours. It was
Yep.
really bad, and people like Kevin couldn't get in at all. So
Nope. Not even till 1 a.m. would let me on.
Wizards didn't get to really fix it until today, I would say. I think last night it was you could play, but you had to log out every single time, after the game, which was super annoying.
Yeah.
But enough about that. New cards, historic. What's looking good? What's looking hot and spicy?
Lotus Cobra.
Lotus Cobra.
Yeah, Lotus
That's
Cobra
it.
looks good. Lotus Cobra's a good card.
Yeah, it's crazy that WotC put it in Arena that if you buy the special art, you draw it every turn on turn 2.
Every game on turn
Wow,
2.
dude, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a nice bonus. So pay to win, I guess.
Yeah, Lotus Cobra's it's enabled some really cool decks, and in combination with Nihiri's lithoforming and
Scape Shift.
Scape Shift, which, by the way, I forgot to say this at the beginning. Our guest today is this beautiful piece of land. because
Love it.
Zendikar's all about landfall. So there's
Mhm.
a beautiful piece of land right there.
Which is an
Um,
awesome mechanic in general. So
yeah. So let's talk about landfall a bit, since Lotus Cobra involves landfall. So
right,
landfall as a mechanic is just fucking good. Like, you never have to work for it. You just, oh, I drew a land value.
play it right.
It's like, you remember why Field of the Dead was good? Add that to all the other cards now. They're just good because you always play lands. Every deck runs lands. You're always going to be playing lands. You're going to draw lands, and sometimes you're going to be like, I wish I drew a actual card. And then you're going to be like, wait a minute. It's like a spell, kind of, because it does something.
Right. And building off that really quickly, the other thing that they did in this set was these double mode cards, I guess. One side's a land, one side's a spell.
Double face modal cards.
Right. So like if you want a landfall trigger, it's a landfall trigger. If you don't, it's another spell that's potentially, good utility or whatever. So like it gives you a lot of pathways you can take for decision making, which is really cool. How to navigate those.
Yeah, and on top of that, it really changes deck building in my mind. Um, like I saw, just a little side note, I saw like Crokies make like like a 58 card deck, and then like it ran like two lands, and like he was able to, like, it was playable. I don't know how good it was, but like he was like kind of keeping up with some decks. But anyways, going back to landfall. So yeah, like landfall is just incredible, and unless you're doing something else that's very powerful in historic, I don't see a reason not to play some sort of deck that involves landfall, or play some of the landfall creatures.
Yeah, I mean the only deck that I can think of off the top of my head that wouldn't care about it really are like blue white control and the blue white auras deck, because they're just doing two super linear things. Not that like blue white control didn't get any additional tools from this expansion, because it did, but landfall itself, it's just like any green deck really.
Yeah,
I feel like
Green loves it.
even to some extent, I would say the Arcanist decks, like the Rakdos, Pyromancer, Arcanist, however you want to say, because there's just not really that great of landfall creatures in black or red. I don't think there's. Oh, there is some in black, but they're like, they're not great. It's like a 5-mana 5/4 with indestructible if you have landfall.
Yeah, I mean the only red one I can think of that's like good enough for that or cheap enough for that deck is the 1-drop. It's like a 0/1 or a 0/2, and it gets +2/+2
Akum
every
Hellhound.
time you play on it. Yeah,
Yep.
but like I don't think that goes in that deck anyway. So
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, that's-
that deck gets other tools to play with, but yeah, I think other than that, like, you need to be playing something with landfall just because it's just free. I mean, if you're playing like a green aggressive deck, you have the Mammoth that gets +2/+2, so just swinging it as a 5/5. You could do a weird scape shift aggro deck that Kevin has. Where Kevin, you want to explain that deck a little bit?
yeah, so I'll pull up the list. So it's mostly new cards. There's a lot of new cards, so it's basically landfall tribal almost. So you're running a bunch of landfall creatures, so you're winning through combat for the most part. So you have like the Akum Hellhound that we just mentioned, the 1-drop red guy. So this is Naya, by the way, also.
Okay.
Then you have best card in the set, Fearless Fledgling. 2-mana 1/1. When a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on it. It gains flying until end of turn. So when I first read the card, I thought it was you get +1/+1 and flying until end of turn, but the +1/+1 counters stay on after, which is nuts. So obviously you're running like Explore, Lotus Cobra, Brushfire Elemental, which is busted. It's red and a green for a 1/1 with haste, can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, and gets +2/+2 every time you play a land. It's insane. And then the other landfall creature is the Mammoth, the 3-mana 3/3. On one side, it's a land that enters the battlefield tapped, and the other side, it gets +2/+2 every time you play land. But then coolest part of the deck is Scape Shift, which obviously everybody knows what Scape Shift does and why Scape Shift is busted in the decks that it's played in.
I guess
And then
for like newer people,
so
basically Scape Shift, it's 4 mana sorcery for green. Sack any mana lands, you search your deck for that many lands, put it on the board. And the reason why it's good is like all these creatures that have landfall, like the mammoth that Kevin mentioned, it gets landfall for each land that enters. So if you Scape Shift for 4 and you get 4 lands, that's +8/+8 to that mammoth, right?
Yeah.
So
So for example, I was playing a game earlier, and I had 3 permanents on the board that had landfall abilities, and I Scape Shifted for 7 and got 21 triggers. Landfall triggers. That's great. So then the other card, probably obviously Fearless Fledgling is the best art in the set, at least. But probably one of my favorite cards in the set is Valakut Exploration. It's 3 mana, 2 in a red for an enchantment. Landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card for as long as it remains exiled. So it's just automatically just card advantage in red, which is really good for red. Then at the beginning of your end step, if there are cards exiled with Valakut Exploration, put them into their owner's graveyard. Then Valakut Exploration deals that much damage to each opponent. So if you Scape Shift for 7, get 7 landfall triggers for Valakut Exploration, and you can't play any of the cards, then at the end of your turn, you just deal 7 damage to face for your opponent. And what happens quite often so far, I obviously haven't been able to play that much because of my issues yesterday, but if you get 2 Valakut Explorations and then Scape Shift, you're just dealing 14 damage if you're sacking 7 lands. So it's quite busted. I love it.
Absolutely.
yeah, I watched you what'd you do? You Scape Shifted with like double exploration on board.
That was against me.
Yeah. And then you exiled 14 cards, it was 13 or something like that. And you're like,
I exiled 12. Sean was at 13.
Yeah. You played a land.
And then one of the cards was the mammoth, so I played the mammoth on the land side. Got 2 more triggers to get to 13.
Yeah, and then past turn. Yeah, it's super sweet, and that's definitely a style of deck I want to explore more. Like just 4 Scape Shift, 3 Scape Shift, 4 of those, or whatever the split becomes, and just see what you can do with it in different colors.
Yeah, the deck seems super sweet to me.
Yeah, it seems really cool.
I mean, it's basically the same idea as Titan Shift, right? Almost.
Yeah, exactly. Except you
need a few more pieces.
You need a few more pieces, but you don't have to manage your mana base to be, to have the right density of mountains for Valakut.
Right.
You definitely don't get the same reach as the Valakut decks do, because once you get to a certain point, you can just put in Scape Shift and say you have a Prismatic Omen, which is the same thing as
Dryad of the Elysian
Grove, where all your lands are every land type. So if you have that and then you just Scape Shift for 8 and bring in 4 Valakuts and 4 other lands, then you're just dealing a lot. I don't know.
Valakut's obviously better, but comparable style wise, because there's plenty of ramp in the format. You run Lotus Cobra in that deck, obviously. You run Fabled Passage, which triggers Cobra twice, triggers all your landfalls twice. Super sweet. And I don't think you necessarily have to be running landfall in Historic right now. I think that those sack decks are still going to be just fine, and goblins. But
I don't know. There's some real silver bullets now in Zendikar Rising for sack decks. Because not only did sack decks have to worry about graveyard hate, because they could play around graveyard hate because they could still beat down in the board and do their shenanigans with sacking, but now they have to worry about Yasharn, which is 4 mana 4/4, grabs a plane and a forest, and then your opponent can't sack shit. They can't use it for abilities. They can't use it as additional costs. So you're just oh
yeah, Yasharn is players can't pay life or sacrifice non-land permanents to cast spells or activate abilities.
Yeah, so it shuts down the deck
good.
so
Shuts down
so well.
Yeah, it shuts down Phyrexian, Phyrexian Tower, shuts down like village rights,
Oven,
shut down
Village Rights, Woe
Oven.
Strider.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
I think
It's a
so
that's
good
like,
about
thing.
it.
It's a good thing that they made it 4 mana, because if it was 3 mana, you could get it with Coco.
yeah,
Oh my god, I'd blow my
yeah.
brains
That
out.
would be insane.
I mean,
That
it's
would
still
be
really good. Like
so
you still run in the Coco decks, right?
No, yeah, you run in the
It's
sideboard for
fine.
Mhm.
sure.
I
Yeah,
agree.
no, just like being able to have the possibility to bring it out at instant speed.
Yeah, I
Seems
think
insane.
I don't know. It's gonna depend on like how many decks are like running green and white, but like they're good colors to run right now. And
Green is a fucking house because you have
green's a house.
you have Lotus Cobra and you have Uro
Yeah, I mean, I'm literally like the deck
and
that
Nissa.
I'm running. Yeah, the deck I'm literally running right now has 4 Cobras, 4 Growth Spirals, 3 Uros, and 3 Nissas.
Yeah.
Because landfall and ramp's good right now, and like you can do such explosive things. Like earlier, I was playing against Kevin, I think, and you, 2 separate matches. My turn, it was like turn 2 Cobra into turn 3 like Uro into Growth Spiral, and I had 5 lands on the field on turn 3, plus like 2 Lotus Cobras, and I'm just like, go. And then it's like
Yeah.
Hydroid Crisis or like Omnath. Good game.
Yeah, it's
Um,
so obnoxious.
Yeah, it can be super powerful. And
Omnath also is another green creature that just is amazing. Like, not only is it just like a good body and you draw a card when it comes into play, it's like, oh, I play a land, gain 4 life. Great against aggro decks. Oh, if you're playing against a mid-range or control deck, if you play another land, whether it's through like Girl Spiral or like Fabled Passage, just add 4 mana.
yeah,
And then you just like,
yeah,
and then you just get to ramp out to some dumb shit. Or if you're like, I don't have any dumb shit to play, I'll play another land though, deal
4 damage.
You're just like,
Yeah.
Right.
it,
And it's
Omnath does everything.
Omnath does everything. Like the 4 life gain per turn. Like if you play him on turn 3, like aggro decks have a hard time. Like goblins can obviously just like smash you for infinite, so it doesn't matter. But like,
Yeah.
it's super hard for like Rakdos sack decks to keep up with that. It's super hard. Like they have to do a lot of work. They have to have their engines online,
Yeah,
undisrupted. Like
and those Rakdos sack decks, they like sometimes they can just beat through the life game because like for like other decks because you just constantly beat down, you grind them out, but you just can't if they're gaining 4 life every turn. So like you can no longer just beat down through that. You have to remove it like immediately. And so like some sideboard card options would be like Lava Coil's good. I know in standard he's kind of an issue, but I think people are starting to play Thundering Rebukes, which is like it's a 2 mana instant or 2 mana sorcery for red that just deals 4 damage to target creature or planeswalker, which isn't bad. It's pretty good, but that's their option for removal now.
it's what they have to do.
And then if you're like if you're like Rakdos Arcanist, they have another good card that was added that I'm very high on is Blood Chief's Thirst, which is the 1 mana sorcery destroy target creature that costs 2 or less, and you can pay 3 to kick it to destroy any target creature or planeswalker.
Yeah, it's really good.
It seems really good. I mean, it's like Fatal Push-esque with like with upside. I mean, like for 4, it's sorcery speed, but like for 4, you're just like killing anything.
Yeah, and like it hits so many creatures that are really good. It hits Dreadhorde Arcanist, Lotus Cobra, Rakdos Pyromancer, Priest of the Forgotten Gods. I mean,
it hits relevant stuff.
Yeah, it hits a lot of relevant stuff.
I mean, it hits tons of shit in any aggro deck, like goblins and stuff.
Exactly.
Like it's Snoop, hits Prospector, whatever.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, those are really good. And yeah, I'm curious to see how things adapt. I think that like for me, like the Omnath like mid-range landfall-y kind of deck is super fun. I love what it's doing.
Yeah.
Tweaking some lists.
Both of you guys love lands, did we not?
I love
you guys both played Field of the Dead decks when it was legal.
Yeah.
Could you could you imagine Field of the Dead was legal right now?
No.
Oh my god, that's great.
Honestly too, like I don't know, like Green Warden might be like viable in your deck, Kev, or something. Like just trigger the Valakut things twice.
Is
I
that
don't know, like
this 5/7 guy? The
yeah,
double trigger?
5/7 double land abilities like or whatever lands triggering abilities cause them to they trigger twice instead or something.
Yeah. Ooh, that'd be so good.
And then you can play lands from the graveyard, which is insane after like Escape Shift or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
that was, dude, your Ramneck Excavator in that deck is so nice because like off the top of my head, I was like, well, okay, yeah, you can play lands from the graveyard, but then I realized like all of those creatures and spells that are also a land, you can play that shit. So it's like you just get this double utility of these cards. Okay, since I mentioned that, dude, most of the double face cards, the ones that are like spells and then lands, are so fucking good. Like,
I wouldn't say most. I would say that there are a handful of really good ones.
I think a lot of them are really fucking good.
I mean, just inherently, they're all good to some extent because they're more value than you should ever be getting for something.
And I think like the mythic ones, I think for the most part, they're just like they're an auto include in like any color deck that you're gonna play. If it's like a mono or 2-color deck.
Yeah, I think if they're like 1 or 2 colors, you might as well include like 1 or 2 at least, depending on what it's doing.
I think 4.
I don't know. It's gonna take testing to decide. I think that like
the
tap land is a punish, man. The tap land's a punish.
No,
it really is.
Those aren't 4-ofs unless they're like a really good card. I'm talking about the mythic ones though, where you can bolt it in.
Yeah, I think if your deck doesn't mind taking the 3, it's fine. Or if like your control deck and you don't mind the tap land, then it's fine.
I think the only time where you don't run 4 is if the meta's like mono red aggro everywhere, because then you just don't want to bolt yourself, right? But
well, it is right now. So
yeah,
it's Azorius auras or goblins. Like that's what people are playing.
I've been seeing a lot of fucking like Uro, Omnath, Lotus Cobra decks, but that's just maybe that's just because like that's the new shit that's being played. Well, no, I've played some ladder, but that's what I see. But yes, you're right. There is a lot of goblins still. Goblins is still a great deck. I mean, I'm trying to think about what they got in the new set. I don't
think they got anything.
I think it's Spikefield Hazard.
Do they run it?
I think so. It gets rid of Uro for them.
It could get rid of Uro, yeah.
No, it does, because like if
not on the back end.
not if it escapes, yeah, but like
yeah. But yes, I know what you mean. Like you can ping it in response to the triggers.
Yeah, so then when it sacks itself, it just gets exiled.
That's a great interaction.
Yeah, I love that interaction.
Sorry, guys. I'm gonna mute myself for a second.
You get your food here.
I don't know. Hold on.
Yeah, did you know about that interaction, Kevin?
What is it?
So when Uro, like if you just play Uro for 3 mana from the hand, the triggers go on the stack of like draw a card and then sack it. In the process of before it sacks itself, you ping it with Spikefield Hazard. And then because Spikefield Hazard says if that creature dies this turn, it gets exiled instead.
Yeah, that's the 1 mana one, the 1 mana red one.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah, I love it so much. It's like such a simple card, but like it's so good because like you can just use it for like face damage. You can just ping off like some random like blocker that they might have, or you can just exile Uro.
I didn't know that interaction. That's really good.
Yeah. So like going back to like the double face lands, like I think you run the bolt lands in almost every deck. Whether like I don't really know the number. I want to say it's close to 4, if not 4. The only ones that I don't think are great is like the blue one. The blue one's like meh to me.
What does the blue one do?
It's 7 mana. You draw cards equal to your hand +1, and then you have no hand size for the rest of the game.
I'm back.
I mean, that's good if you have. I don't think it's good in historic or anything, but that's pretty good in like anywhere you're generating infinite mana for sure.
You don't even need infinite mana, like.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about just for like strictly historic. I don't think it's like that great. I think maybe like you could do it as like a one of. I don't know, maybe. But like, yeah, if you're playing like Commander or some other format where you could produce like a lot of mana, then yeah, that card's amazing.
Yeah.
Um,
Um,
but yeah, so like the tapped ones, those are like the hard ones to evaluate because there's so many of them, but they offer like so many useful effects. And so it makes deck building more interesting to me because like no longer is it just like pick your 36 cards and then your 24 lands. It's like maybe you pick 42 cards and like 28 land or 18 lands, but then you have
Right.
some of those cards be the double face ones. And so it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
are you okay with sacrificing, some tempo potentially to have this like versatility? So
Yeah.
I think that's really, really good.
Yeah, and I think from what we've seen so far, unless I'm like grossly undervaluating some of these cards, I think they did a really, really good job of not breaking these cards and
Mm-hmm.
making it so that like people can run like 60 cards and no lands like in their deck.
Yeah.
I think that they're only like I can't really see decks running more than like 8 of these in various forms, which I think is fine.
Mm-hmm.
Just because like for a lot of the tap ones, like Pago is talking about, like the card's like 0.75 on of a card on both sides, right? So like tap land, not so great, but fine if you need it. The
Mm-hmm.
spells usually like underpowered for their cost, or you know what I mean, something like that. But then there's ones that are just like good, like the mammoth you were talking about, like 3 mana 3/3 landfall becomes a fucking 5/5, 2/2 every time. And
Mm-hmm.
then on the flip side, it's a green land, and in a landfall deck, that's wonderful, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think certain ones definitely like stand out.
Another one that stands out to me, like not talking about the mythic ones because I think the mythic ones are all just great except for the blue one. But the one that stands out to me is like Malakir Rebirth, which is the 1 mana instant for black where you choose target creature, you lose 2 life, and then if that creature were to die this turn, it comes back to the board, tapped, I believe. Like that's super good because one, like if you're playing some sort of sack deck or like Rakdos Arcanist deck, it's essentially protection is what it is. And then on top of that, like if you have any sort of ETBs, there you go. You just fucking triggered it again. Whether it's Stitcher Supplier, Croxa is another one. Like you can have Croxa's trigger on the stack, use Malakir Rebirth, enters twice. It's basically, it's basically a mind rot where you just target opponent discards 2 cards. um, what? There was another interaction that I liked with that. I can't remember. Oh, I've been kind of trying to. I made a silly little deck where it's just like I think it runs like 34 1-drops, but they're all like insane spells. So like it has 34 1-drops and 4 Seagate Stormcaller, so I can copy the spells. So I run like 4 Village Rites, 4 Malakir Rebirth, 4 Thoughtseize, and then I'm running like Serrated Scorpion in there and then like Archfiend's Vessel, so that way I can like recur the vessels to be 5/5s, or I could have the Scorpion chump block and then Malakir Rebirth it, so then I can drain them too. So silly stuff like that.
Sounds fun.
It's really fun, dude. It's so fun to go Seagate Stormcaller, Village Rites, and then you just sack 1 creature, draw 4, because
Yeah.
because the way it works is like because the additional cost of casting it. Yeah, the additional cost of
You
casting
paid
it.
the cost, right?
Yeah, and then the Stormcaller just copies it, so you don't need to repay the
Yeah.
cost. So yeah,
I think
it's nice.
I think that the Stormcaller is really good. I think
I
it's I think it's insane. Like I was talking about it with Grant a bit last night, and I know I've talked about it briefly, with you, Pagogo. But like, wow, especially in like those Arcanist lists, I think it's super busted. But even not in an Arcanist list, like just being able to go like, you're playing control list, let's say, and you're running Thoughtseize, like turn 3 double Thoughtseize is better than like turn 1 Thoughtseize. So yeah, you just do that, and like it's great timing in the sense that like on turn 1, if you Thoughtseize your opponent, generally they have time to like draw new stuff to like divert their game plan. But if you're going like double Thoughtseize on turn 3 or 4, they already like have their next few turns planned out, and if you just rip 2 of those cards out, like
So
It's looking really good for you.
for the Arcanist deck, if you go Grixis to add the Stormcaller, you could discard 4 cards from your opponent's hand by turn 3. You go turn 1 Thoughtseize, that's 1. Turn 2 you play Dreadhorde Arcanist. Turn 3 you play Stormcaller, Thoughtseize from your hand, so it copies it, and then when Arcanist attacks, you grab Thoughtseize. And even if you don't have a Thoughtseize in hand, Arcanist attacks, copies the Thoughtseize twice. So that's 3 cards you just discarded by turn 3. And you have 3 damage on the board that's swinging in every fucking turn.
Yeah, it's super good.
That was the other interaction. Sorry. That was the other interaction. Yeah. Malakir Rebirth on the Seagate Stormcaller. So then when it re-enters, you get the trigger again. So then you look to like Village Rites or Thoughtseize or something like that. Because you can do dumb shit where you can attack, they like block it or something. Or you go Phyrexian Tower to sack it and then comes back. Yeah, it's great. So much fun. But yeah, I think that card needs to be explored more. It just seems so fucking strong to me. I just don't know like what else. It has to be some sort of like black, red, blue deck. I don't think there's any white spells or green spells that cost 1 or 2 mana that are just amazing.
No, not in this format for sure.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
that card has Grixis written all over it, like those colors for sure. I mean, even like, the kicker. It has a kicker, by the way, which we're forgetting about, but it's 5 mana.
Who cares?
So it's like 7 mana to play kick, which like I could see like in a deck maybe that's like trying to do Phoenix shenanigans that's playing that, because like in a Phoenix deck it's pretty good. You can go like
doesn't work.
What do you mean?
Because the way Phoenix raises 3 instants or sorceries that you cast, and because it copies it doesn't work.
No, I'm not saying in that sense. I'm saying like you could still go like that into like Chart a Course, draw 4, discard 2, or those types of cards.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
That's what I mean. And then if you need the reach at the end and you happen to have 8 lands, you can go like kicker that shock for 6 or whatever.
Yeah,
it's even just good with like opt, right? Like turn 3 double opt in that deck is like pretty good. Yeah. Double up your shock to kill a 4/4 like an Omnath or something.
Yeah, it's good. It's real good.
I think it's a great card. Yeah.
What other cards are exciting from this new set?
Let's find out. Let me pull up.
Fearless Fledgling.
Fearless Fledgling's great.
I just like the artwork. I think the card is like fine.
Card's okay, but yeah, the artwork.
Okay, so a card I've actually kind of been enjoying. I mean, I played in like a total meme deck against like Kevin earlier or whatever. The green inscription. So they printed those like 3 or 4 inscription spells.
Yeah.
And like, I think that these are a really good example. And this is kind of why I like Kicker as a mechanic. Like, Kicker and Landfall are both 2 of like my favorite Magic mechanics because, they don't force you to play your game necessarily differently, but they give what you're doing range or options in certain scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
So the inscriptions are like choose 1 out of 3 modes. If you kick it, you could choose up to 3. I think this is a great example of like a way that Wizards, like we've talked about before, managing this power creep, but making cards still have tons of options and viability in different circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
Because like this one, for example, is 2 mana. Choose 1 if it was kicked. Choose any number. 3 to kick it. So 5 to choose all 3. 2 to choose 1. Put 2/1 counters on target creature. Fine. Target player gains X life, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. Okay. Probably not the mode you're choosing most of the time, but it's relevant sometimes. And
if you kick it, you just pick it because it's free.
Right, and you just gain life. And then the third is a fight, right? So like, if you're paying for 5, you're buffing one of your creatures, which is making you gain more life off the second mode, and then you're killing one of their creatures. And it's pretty good for like racing situations. It's just great spot removal that's cheap.
Mm-hmm. It can also push your creature out of damage range. Like if there's like, let's say a Languish, you just fucking pump it out of range, and now you're fine.
Exactly. So it has flexibility. It's the only inscription that's instant speed, I think.
There's a blue one and a black one. I don't know what the blue one does.
The blue one's sorcery.
Sorcery.
Okay,
So
so then the
four,
black one's
it's 4 mana, kicker for 4. Same
For
kind of
what?
mechanic. Return up to 2 target creatures to their owner's hands. Scry 2, then draw 2, and then target player creates an XX blue illusion creature token where X is the number of cards in their hand. That one seems not great for 8 mana.
Dude, that does
It would
not
be-
seem good.
If it was instant speed, it would be playable.
Maybe.
Yeah, but like, it's just that's just such a win more card because the only time
Yeah.
you can cast all of them. If you're tapping out for an 8 mana sorcery that's doing that, you're already winning the game. So.
Yeah, you've already done it. You've gotten there.
And then the black one is, I believe it's 3 mana to play it, 4 more to kick it. It's like target player discards 2 cards. You could destroy a creature that costs 3 or less, and then you can also return a creature from your graveyard that costs 2 or less to the battlefield. So like, all those effects are like fine because like
It's 3 or less, or no?
it could be like it could be cheap removal. You could recur a creature, or you can just like shit on your opponent's hand. But like, I feel like the decks you want to play that in are like aggressive decks, but you're never really gonna get to the kicker. I feel like, and if you do, it's like it's probably a grindier game, so you're not going to be killing a creature that costs 3 or less. You're probably just going to be returning the creature and having your opponent discard 2 cards. But that's not the kind of shit that you want to play against Omnath. They're going to have a million cards in hand. Omnath costs 4, so it dodges fucking the inscription.
Yep.
And they don't give a shit if you return your Rakdos Pyromancer because they're going to be dealing 4 to your face every turn with Omnath.
Yeah, I think the green one is the only one that's
Even potentially viable. I don't even know that it's like good enough, but
Yeah.
5 mana is manageable, right? Like,
yeah, and then 2 for the front is fine too. You know.
yeah. I think couple cards that I'm excited for that I haven't had the chance to play because Magic the Gathering Arena Economy are Nighthawk Scavenger.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I love mono black. That card's really good. 3 mana for a 1+X3 creature where it has flying, death touch, lifelink. Its power is equal to 1 plus the number of card types among cards in your opponent's graveyards. So obviously really good in a deck that you're running Thoughtseize and
Removal.
discard effects, whatever. So that's really good. And it's just like a what is it? Vampire Nighthawk is the original one that's based off of. It's just like a better version of that most of the time.
Vampire Nighthawk had a baby with Tarmogoyf.
Yeah, exactly. And the other one, which I haven't really thought about too much, is Scourge of the Skyclaves. That's the one that Zach liked. It's like kind of Death Shadow-y. So it's a 2 mana for an XX. Has a kicker of 5, so it's obviously tough. But when you cast a spell, if it was kicked, each player loses half their life rounded up. And then Scourge of Skyclave's power and toughness are each equal to 20 minus the highest life total among players. So if the highest life total among players is 15, it's a 5/5.
Right.
I don't know. I just think I don't think you're kicking it that often, but I think the Death Shadow-esque effect is pretty good. And
I think it's that once the meta starts forming a little bit more, I think it could be playable because you have shock lands and you have bolt lands. So people are going to be killing themselves left and right. And you have Thoughtseize in the format. And most of the top tier decks run Thoughtseize. So if your opponent goes Thoughtseize turn 1, you go Thoughtseize turn 1, at worst he's a 2 mana 2/2. And then if you swing and you go like shock a land in, now he's a 4/4. So it can just spiral out of control.
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
And like the kicker, like I think you're gonna rarely get the kicker out of it.
You're not doing that often, yeah.
But like it's there. It's nice to have it. Like you're not gonna complain about having it. You're just gonna be like, all right, cool.
Yeah, because
sometimes you might get there with it. Yeah.
It's the same thing as the other card. It feels like it's a win more kind of thing. Like if you're spending 7 mana in a black deck for something, it seems like
the only time
a good one anyway.
The only time I could see you having 7 mana in a black deck is if you're playing like Jun Sack, Rakdos sack because that
Right.
Yeah,
sometimes
or like
gets
some kind of Golgari deck or something.
Or
Like, I
maybe like Sultai Ram.
But even then, it's like, do you want to be playing Scourge of the
No,
Sky
you don't.
Clays? Yeah,
You don't.
exactly.
And I think I like the card in the sense that I think a deck that is running that card is is trying to make its opponent's life total less very quickly, and I think that if you're able to do that successfully and your deck is built to kill your opponent in that way, like a Rakdos deck would be great with that, or a Grixis deck maybe, or whatever. Like Kevin said, a Golgari deck.
Yeah, you want some sort of like
You're-
Rakdos aggro deck
Right.
because and you want to run all 8 of the black and red bolt lands.
Yeah.
You want to
Yeah,
run
and
all
just-
that shit.
so,
Yeah, and then you just at that point, like, so you're building your deck to kill your opponent, check, right? And then you just build your deck like Puyo was saying, with ways to just inherently hurt yourself a little bit, and and that's it.
You could.
Uh-oh.
I just realized you could. You play Knight of the Ebon Legion in the deck. You could turn one, bolt yourself, play Knight of the Ebon Legion, and you gain. Is it loss of 3 or is
it's
it
4.
Oh, is it 4? Fuck, but still.
Yeah, that was funny.
I mean, still, you can still turn 2, get that
So
trigger if you bolt yourself and then Thoughtseize.
True. What do you guys think about Grackmore and Nissa? Not together, but like just as cards.
Grackmore? What color?
Grackmaw. It's a Golgari Hydra. Grackmaw Skyclave Ravager. It's like Thrag, like we were talking about it last night. It's like kind of Thrag-tusky,
So
right?
it's 3 mana for 0/0, enters the battlefield with 3 +1/+1 counters on it.
Right.
Whenever another creature you control dies, if it had a +1/+1 counter on it, put a +1/+1 counter on Grackmaw. When Grackmaw dies, create an XX black and green Hydra creature token where X is the number of +1/+1 counters.
Ooh, we're talking about
right.
We're talking
Yeah.
about Grakma, dude. That card's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So I think it's gonna be good. Like maybe not. Yeah, I think it's gonna be good in standard. I don't know, and I don't know standard at all, so I'm actually not even gonna talk about that. But
No one does, dude.
Yeah.
Rotation makes it so hard to be like, what's good in standard? Because you're like, what
Yeah.
rotated out?
And I think like Grackmaw is I think he has super good potential. I mean, you're talking about like you could be running decks that are exploring already, so they're getting counters. If those things are dying, he's getting bigger. If he dies, you get a big dude. It just replaces itself. I think like there's so many ways to make him stronger, and he's just like a 3-mana 3/3 that gives you a 3/3 when it dies. Like I think that's also just good enough.
Yeah, I think most of the time you're just gonna use him as like a creature that's super sticky. You're not gonna you're not gonna be like, oh, how can I make him bigger? You're just gonna be like, whatever. He's just a 3-mana 3/3 that's really annoying because you can't do much about it.
And if he's getting bigger, great.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, you could play some sort of like Sultai mid-range deck where you run like him, Uro, and then like Hydra Krasis. Because like if Krasis enters all those counters, and obviously if it's really big, your opponent's gonna want to kill it. You just transfer the counters over to Grakma, and then kill Grakma. Oh, there's still another one.
It doesn't transfer the counters. You get one counter.
Oh, is it one?
But,
Oh, that's
yeah.
stupid. Never mind.
That's not a never mind. I mean, you can still play Krasis and deck with this.
No, you can't. It's never mind. No more.
Oh, okay. So moving on. So what do you guys think about Nissa?
I think this is pretty good.
The new Nissa. What does she do again?
So she's a 2 black green for a 4 loyalty planeswalker. She's a static ability. Yay.
Landfall static ability. I know that.
Yeah. So whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, put a loyalty counter on her. So she starts at 4. She has 2 activated. She has 2 abilities. One is a +1. One is a -5. So theoretically, you can play her, play your land, be able to -5 her right away. Obviously, you kill her. So +1 is untapped.
Not if it's a Fable passage.
True. +1 is untapped target land you control. You may have it become a 3/3 elemental creature with haste and menace until end of turn. It's still a land. And then it's the -5 is you may put a creature card with CMC less than or equal to the number of lands you control onto the battlefield from your hand or your graveyard with 2+1/+1 counters on it.
I don't think it's that great.
I think it's pretty good.
I think it's gonna depend on like how good creatures
Yeah.
that cost 4 or 5 mana are.
To me, it's like if you're playing her, obviously you need a ton of lands on board. So you're going to be playing some sort of like ramp landfall deck. And if you're doing that already, why not just like do the version that Kevin has, where it's like you just kill him with like Valakut Exploration or the Nahiri's lithoforming fling combo, whatever. Like, I feel like you just kind of work towards those instead.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's fair. I don't know. I like her from a flavor perspective, at least, if nothing more.
I think she's cool. I think like.
Have we ever had a black green Nissa?
No.
No, yeah. So I like that. It seems like she's more evil. Since the lands have menace.
Yeah.
Flavor win from my end.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still like she still ramps you, right? Not the same way, obviously, that the other Nissa does.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, you can go like her, and then I don't know, tap a land, untap it, play a Crisis or some shit. I just don't know, like Hermione seems good if she survives afterwards. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you're ever. I don't think very rarely would you, unless you're like winning the game, or you're just like playing her, ulting her immediately and killing her, because it's just like then it's just a 4 mana conditional reanimate basically.
Right. Mm-hmm. The reanimate aspect's really good because so it makes her. What that ability does, it makes her very good in the late game and very good in the early to mid game.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because you can play her early and then
so she's good all the time, is what you're saying.
If that's what your deck wants to do, she's good all the time. Because you can go like her on turn 3, and then turn 4 or 5, cast a 5 mana creature, and then minus her, and she's still alive, and cast and put another creature into play for free. And if you're happening to reanimate a smaller creature, it just comes back bigger. So I think that's insane, and bring stuff back like late game with her as a reanimate when you don't necessarily have much gas in your hand. Also very good. There's a lot of graveyard hate in Historic, unfortunately, so who knows how that would go. And then I'm thinking like, oh, like you could use it to cast Omnath if you're having like mana issues because he's 4-color, but it's like, are you playing a 5 mana like mana Omnath deck then? I don't know.
Yeah. I think she's good, but maybe not. Maybe she's just too much mana for.
Yeah, I think maybe in standard, like you were saying.
Maybe in standard. One other card that we talked about last night that I think is just a beater in sideboards against control decks. It's Crackplate Baloth.
Oh, this card's insane.
Card slaps.
Dude, I forgot that existed.
He's the definition. Oh, he's in my sideboard of my Omnath deck.
Mm-hmm.
So because 7 mana 6/6 with hexproof and haste. The spell can't be countered, so it's like a Carnage Tyrant.
But better.
If Cragplant Baloth was kicked, so it costs 3 to kick it, so it would be 10 mana, and enters the battlefield with 4+1/+1 counters on it. So it could come in as a 10/10.
Right.
Smack a control player in the fucking mouth.
So as funny as like this card, like it's not funny. It will slap you, but like it doesn't have trample, which is like one thing, right? Because fine, but like against the decks you're playing against, they probably don't have many blockers anyway. Mm-hmm. So like, and certainly not chump ones. They're probably playing like high value creatures.
The only thing I could think of for like blue white is like the land that produces a 1/1. That's the only thing.
Right.
Or Shark Typhoon.
Oh, there you go. But then you just beat over it.
Yeah, their Shark Typhoon's probably not going to be as big as this as quickly. So you just play this, like, and this is another card. It's funny because I was like, when I originally was like thinking about the Omnath deck, my list was basically like all in on ramp. Like Kevin and Pagogo saw it, right? And like basically it was just trying to play like these huge spells super fast, and it wound up not working. There's not enough interaction, so I changed it. But like even in the current iteration, I can literally go this guy kicked on turn 4 against a control deck, and it's just like
You lose.
take 10,
Yeah.
have a board wipe or you lose. Like,
Saying, yeah.
so
The fact that it's haste too is just
yeah,
like,
that's the big thing. So I was talking to Zach about this, and I was like, this reminds me of Miscutter Hydra from back in like Theros or one of those sets, original Theros, where it was an insane sideboard card in the sense that it was a X and then 1 green for a Hydra, and it enters with X1 counters on it. It has haste and protection from blue. So in like those decks at the time, that was like a Gruul, like Devotion ramp deck. You're just like slap one down on turn 4 as a 3/3 and keep beating you. Okay, you wrath me. Slap it down on turn 6 as a 5/5 or a 6/6 with haste. Slap you, and you just keep doing that. And it kind of reminds me of that. Obviously, this guy is like way thicker, but
yeah.
Cool interaction there.
Yeah. Damn, what the fuck was I gonna say? I was gonna bring something up.
You're gonna say how handsome Sean is.
He's looking good today.
Thanks, babe.
He's got some nice lighting. Filling up the whole screen. I like it.
Yeah, I'm like leaning forward to like look at cards in my collection.
What we see is you just like this. You're like, yeah.
I know. Hey guys. Oh, you know what card I like actually that we did not talk about with a modal card?
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can find it. It's the 3 mana one. Solundi Vision. 3 mana instant. Look at the top 6 cards of your library. You may reveal an instant or sorcery card from among them and put it into your hand.
I think that's pretty good in the control deck.
This card is bonkers in a control deck. It's doing everything a control deck wants to do. It's doing it at instant speed. Top 6 is digging.
That's a lot.
And the fact that it's a blue tap land is fine. For a control deck, they can afford to have a few more tap lands in it. And the best thing about this is if you're running obviously other copies of this or other spells that maybe are these modal cards, it can actually just hit a land. Like it can hit itself as a land if you need a land drop. So I think that's super, super flexible. I think it's doing like what Narset does, obviously in spell form, but has the upside of like, in those types of decks, hitting the land if you need it. I mean, it's just 6 deep is really good to try to find like an answer to a threat.
I agree. I think it's like, so another tapped spell that I think is pretty good is Tajiri's Shelter, I think it's called. It's the the white land
bomb.
Yeah, it's the white land, and so it comes into play tapped, or it's a 2 mana instant. Target creature gains protection of your choice of color. So it's like, that's really, really fucking good because you just randomly like could just get something protection, or you just like, if you need a land, you need a land, obviously. So
and I think
I think you played in some sort of like aggressive white deck, if that's a thing. If that's a thing in Historic, but like, I think the card might find a place somewhere. Maybe as like a 1 or 2 of. Like, seems good to me.
It might. I think the effect's really good. I just think it's tough. It's obviously it's possible. It's just tough, like trying to find like a deck that wants to run it.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing at the fucking car horn in the background.
I know. It's not. I mean, dude, this shit was going off at like 3 a.m. Literally 3 a.m. Went off. Would do that for like 2 or 3 minutes and then just keep going. And I was like looking outside, I was like, is someone robbing a car? No one's near the car. I'm like, how is it? It just keeps going off for like an hour. I was like, oh my God. Anyway, so now I don't even know. I'm just hard pressed to think of a deck off the top of my head that like wants a protection spell like that, like kind of like Blue White Aura does, but doesn't want a tap land because Blue White Aura doesn't want tap lands. That's my beef with like some of these cards, like that scenario.
I think you could just do it in some sort of like prison deck, not a prison deck. I came up with it earlier. It's like Bant Coco, and you run like Skyclave Apparition, Deputies of Detention, Meddling Mages, because like you're okay with that spell like coming in tapped on like turn 1 or 2, and then later on it's just like, oh hey, it can protect This my Skyclave or my Deputy or my
Yeah,
Meddling Mage.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Before I talk about that Bant Coco deck, because I think there's something there that needs to be explored. Going up against your Omnath deck today, I found I found the
The way
secret.
to win.
I found the secret to beating your deck, Kevin. I think I told Kevin this actually, but
Yeah.
I was just running some like random like green white counters deck because I just needed to do a quest. I didn't realize that that Stone Coil Serpent and Basri's Lieutenant gets past like everything.
Almost everything.
Gets past Omnath, gets past Hydroid Crisis, and Sean, you were running Outlaws Merriments in the sideboard, and all those creatures are red
Just
white
one.
creatures, and so like
And
they just came in, and I'm
also-
like, okay, I'm just gonna keep swinging in.
It also beats Uro, and it also at the time I had my main like early game sweeper was like Deafening Clarion, so that did nothing against him either.
Yeah,
So like that's really good. Obviously, like now I'm running like Wrath of God too. So like we'll see. But
yeah,
it's still like extremely challenging to like play around those cards in that deck.
Yeah.
In the sense that like your only trumpers are either like Nissalands or Lotus Cobras, and you don't love that.
Mhm.
So yeah, definitely something to explore there and keep in mind in case
Yeah.
in case it's needed in the future.
Yeah. Okay, so going back to my Bant Coco deck. So the idea, is basically just collect a company, and your main targets are Skyclave Apparition, Deputy Detention for removal, Meddling Mage to basically prevent them from playing any dumb cards, and then Linvala, because that's a new card that we can talk about. So Linvala is a 3-mana 3/3 flyer, and there's a clause on it about something about your party being full and something can't attack or block or activate abilities. Don't give two shits about that, in all honesty. The real good thing is the other part where you can sacrifice Linvala, and until the end of your turn, or until the end of the turn, all your creatures gain hexproof or indestructible, which is fucking insane. It just protects you against all board wipes except for like Languish, and then
Right.
like it's so good because you're protecting like your deputies or your Skyclave Apparitions or the Meddling Mages, so it just prevents your opponent from doing shit. Oh, the other
Right.
cards, like I thought about running it. It was like Archon of Emeria, where each player can only play one spell each turn, and then also like your opponent's non-basic lands come into play tap, so that's pretty good. I guess you could run Thalia in that deck if you wanted to go more into like the prison, taxes deck. And then the
It
other
might be a good sideboard option,
and then the other one was it was Glasspool Mimic, which is it's a rare, blue rare. It's a 2 and a blue. It's I don't know what the stats are actually. It's probably just like star or 0/0. But basically, it comes in and it copies a creature you control and it becomes that creature. Or you could just play it as a blue land. So like that's really good with Collect Company, because let's say you hit Deputy and that double Deputy, boom boom. Or you can go.
Right.
I can't do Linvala because I just realized Legendary Clause. But anyways, like it's
so-
it's still really good.
Yeah, it's that shell. The shell of like Bant companies really, I've always really liked it. I think in like the second episode, I was talking about the list I had at the time, which didn't have like obviously access to like Linvala and stuff, but it was running like oozes, meddling mages, deputy detentions, Night of Autumn's a great like either main board or sideboard card.
Yep.
I was running Gilded Goose, with that. At this point, I probably cut for some of the better new stuff.
Yeah, I don't even know if you play a Mana Dork in that deck. I feel like it's like a
You don't-
waste.
You don't need to, yeah, because then company hits it. One card, like I'm running Uro because hello, it gets hit and then it comes back. I'm running like Jade Light Ranger just because it's like ETB value up the ass. So like, there's a lot of different avenues you can go with a company list now, and they're all good. Like the addition of whatever the new 3-drop white card is that you mentioned.
Skyclave Apparition.
Yeah, Skyclave Apparition's really good.
And it's cool because like in some ways, Skyclave is better than Deputy because they're not getting whatever you exiled back. However, like Deputy is really good
It's a
against like
trade-off.
Deputy's like
Yeah.
really good against like tokens because it just clears all that shit. Or like
Right.
or cards that don't have ETBs. That's the worst part about Deputy. Is if you exile something with ETB, you're just like, ah, shit, it's coming back with that ETB.
Damn. Yeah. So there's that, and then like cards I had in my sideboard at the time were like, I don't know, like, well, your Sharn you can run now as like a 2 or 3 of.
I will be.
Doesn't
right
get hit
back
by
again.
company, but like you still play it. You could run Dranith Magistrate. Your opponents can't cast spells from anywhere other than their hands. It's super, super powerful against like these Rakdos lists that are playing like Claim to Fame and stuff like that. And just like Dreadhorde Arcanist triggers they can't use. So can be very powerful in that way. Even Mind Center, like Brazen Bard is an option, but it's kind of weak. So yeah, a lot to be said about that deck. I think, and this is something that I've said to you guys like every time we talk about cards like Collected Company, like they just get better as
Every set.
as time goes because they just print good cards. So you're just inherently like getting more options.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
eventually you're just gonna get like, you pull one from a set, next set comes out, you pull one card here and there, and next thing you know, your deck's like busted. So I'm very excited to see like where these company lists go. I think I had made a junk company list last night as well, which was running Grakmaw
Oh.
and Fearless Fledgling in the deck together.
Nice.
Something Kevin might want to explore.
Dynamic duo.
Dynamic duo, and like you have access to like Kitesail Freebooter, which is a great 2-drop black card that you could run in a company deck.
Yep.
It's running Nighthawk Scavenger, which another card Kev you were talking about wanting to play. It's running the Mammoth because he's just a value 3-drop as well, like a Knight of Autumn, and then I'm running like a Felidar Retreats. I don't know if I'm going to keep those in the main, but they're super good if it resolves after you have a couple of things on board, and you could just grind out like control decks or pump your board and just smash in those like mirror match aggro matchups. And then you have access to like Thoughtseize and stuff like that and scavenging is. So it's just super. I don't know. It seems like companies getting there. Like it was obviously it's great in like those Jun lists, but like even the Jun list, I feel like you're not always like getting the best stuff. But I don't know. Maybe their density is not high enough. I don't really know. Seems like they're like. I don't necessarily love the company version of that. I think that just like the other versions are better. But obviously I could be wrong. The deck's still fucking great and functions either way. But it's good to see it get more options. Basically, is what I'm saying. So
I mean, I think kind of shifting gears. I think the best blue card in the set, and let me know if you disagree.
okay.
Is Charax, the Raging Isle.
Hands down, a bomb.
The best card in the set.
He is the thickest of the thickest.
Yeah.
Boy, like he is a 0-17. Like, come on.
Yeah.
What else do you need, dude? Like, cut the shit.
Best card in arguably the best card in Magic the Gathering history.
Probably best card printed in like 10-15 years.
All right. It's probably right next to Black Lotus.
I don't know about that. I would say it's like I think him and like an Oko can like square off, for like who's better.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
And you think about vintage. All vintage is going to be is land Black Lotus into Charax, the Raging Isle.
Right. Yeah. What else do you want to be doing? If you're not doing that, you're not.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no.
God.
Yeah. So I'm just looking at like other dumb like. Let's go back to like the original Omnath ramp deck I had. Like I was running Cobras, Grosspowers, Cultivates, Uros, some number of Oracles, Omnath, Nissa, Ugin, Ulamog, and Hydroid Crasises. And like the Ulamogs are cute, but it was like you have to get like the nut draw and you can cast on turn 4 or whatever, which was why I was like, oh my god. But like if you don't get that nut and your shit gets interrupted, like now you have a fucking 10 drop in your hand that you're not casting for a while. So Not the best route for that, but still fun. Zach sent me a no lands control deck that I think was standard originally, and it literally does not run a single land. It does not run a single land, and it runs like all those split cards. And it seems interesting. I don't know. I haven't tested against either of you guys yet. I guess I should do that later, but
Oh, I'm so sorry. My parents came by to drop off a supply of food. So
You got more Doritos?
more Doritos. Let's go.
no more. We didn't get Doritos, thank God, dude. We got a bunch of stuff though. But yeah, we've after our hospital stay for the baby, we were told that we should quarantine for 2 weeks. So
why'd they come by?
well, we didn't really want to only eat takeout, so we need food.
Why?
Did you want to pay for my takeout, Sean?
No.
Oh, okay.
Kevin said he would.
Oh, Kevin
Yeah.
would? Oh, sick. All right.
Here, let me show my credit card information on stream.
Oh, you can just DM that to me. You don't need to say it on stream.
No,
Yeah. Wow, that was nice of you, Pagogo.
Or you can share your screen and go buy magic cards, and then I can see the information.
there you go.
Anyways, what were we talking about? What were you guys talking about?
We were talking about the best blue card in the set. Which, if you can
Omnath?
name one off the top of your head, I'll let you know if it's wrong. Oh, like
Omnath?
mono blue. Sean and I agree on which one it is.
Hands. It's like not even really a competition.
Yeah.
Is it like the stupid Jawari, like the counter spell for 1? Or like they counter unless they pay 1? I don't know, dude.
Card strike.
No. It's Charix, the Raging Isle.
Nice. Appropriate reaction.
You agree, right?
Here's what you do. You play Charix. You play Intruder Alarm. You swing for 17.
Perfect. Yeah, I mean, come on.
You just invert it, right?
Yeah,
No,
Sean and I were saying, like, all Vintage is going to be is turn 1 land Lotus into Charix.
Blocks everything,
Right?
man.
You can't win.
Not even Death Shadow can beat over it.
Here you go.
It's true.
Death Shadow just brick walled by a crab.
He'd love to see it.
God.
We were just talking about like
There really isn't like Blue did not get like anything this set.
Blue got
Didn't get. I'm looking at like the rares at least now. None
Like
of it's like
the cards that Blue got are like multicolored cards, like Linvala, Omnath, but you're not playing that in like a mono blue deck.
they
or a
got
blue.
Stormcaller is really good.
Okay, that's the best card. I completely blanked
Yeah.
on that. Seagate Stormcaller is
Yeah.
the best blue card in the set. However, you're probably playing that in like a black deck, in my opinion. Because why not?
Yeah,
Why not copy Thoughtseize twice? Why not copy Village Rites twice? Why not copy Malakir Rebirth? So yeah,
yeah. I mean, even
I
like
don't know, is that an uncommon?
which one?
That card, Seagate, whatever.
No, it's a mythic.
Really?
Seagate Stormcaller, yeah.
yeah, it's fucking busted, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Stormcaller can be like just like even in like I'm looking at like my Grixis and my Sultai like decks right now, and like you can just go like that into Eliminate, that into Heartless Act, that into Thoughtseize, that into Maelstrom Pulse, even like that into Languish, and negate the board. Like it's a viable line of play, and like it could just as the game progresses like just get better and better. So and yeah, like double Maelstrom Pulse is pretty sweet.
Oh no, you can't double Maelstrom Pulse.
Why?
The card has a clause that has to be 2 or less.
Oh, 2 or less, right? That's true.
Sorry, I blanked.
Alright,
I blanked on that.
No, me too. I knew that too because I was like, wait, why didn't we think of this before?
Yeah.
So yeah, but still, like double Eliminate, double Heartless Act, double Thoughtseize, double Growth Spiral. I mean, you probably don't want to double Growth Spiral unless you need to.
Card, yeah, the Seagate Storm color is just so good.
Doubles, I don't know, Pillar of Flame or Scorching Dragonfire,
Double shock, double
double shock,
opt. You could double
double
crash.
op.
You could double crash through if you're playing some sort of like prowess deck. Like you're fine with just drawing 2 for 3 mana while also creating a 2/1.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's. I love
seems
that.
fun.
I love that card. I want to play with it more, and I want to find a home for it.
It's just super cool, like design. Like super cool.
I like.
Design.
I just love cards that like, or cards and decks that like are not linear. Like I want them. I want it to be difficult because it makes me feel like I can be a better player always because I'm just like looking for the right play. Like if I see some obscure line of like Malakir Rebirth, Seagate Stormcaller, sack it to Phyrexian Tower, I can triple claim to fame, get back Archfiend Vessels, and like dumb shit like that. Like that's cool to me.
Yeah, I think cards like this that are like, yeah, they give you like so many lines of play and decision points, that it just makes the games more fun and more like interactive and just more.
You also feel
more
a little
like
you feel a little more in control too of like
yes,
like
yeah.
because there are times in games where like it's sometimes you're just like I can't do anything. No matter what I do, I'm losing, and I hate that feeling. Like I want to be able to be like,
Everyone
what
hates
can I?
that feeling.
Yeah, true. But like I want to have the option of being like, what could I do here to wiggle myself out of the situation,
Right.
and look for
Yeah,
that
like-
line and work towards it.
Yeah, like I can pull through. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm even looking like strategic planning with that card's good. Like double strategic planning seems good.
And like I think that's why like the Omnath decks are cool, is because like although they're fairly linear in what they're doing, like get lands, get mana, do shit. It's like some of the lines you take are not so straightforward because like there's like tricky plays with like Fabled Passage and earning extra mana. There's tricky plays with
Growth Spiral, and getting extra mana, Uro. Like you saw before, like when the turns that you like go off or that are a little more explosive, where it's like, okay, I have to remember that like I have a Growth Spiral in my hand that gets me land, which triggers Lotus Cobra. I have an Uro that does the same thing. Maybe I have a second Lotus Cobra. I also have a Fabled Passage and a regular land. And then it's like, oh, if I Growth Spiral, do I want to shock myself? Because what if I draw, another Growth Spiral? And like, if you do it right, like you could be heavily rewarded.
Yeah, I feel like the Rakdos Arcanist deck and like the Omnath deck are similar in the sense that you have so many lines of play. But the Rakdos Arcanist deck is more so like you're playing with what you have right there on the board and like trying to figure out what you're supposed to do right there. Whereas the Omnath deck is like, I have this much mana. What can I do with potential cards that I could draw? And then like, how could I maybe push my mana even further based on what I get?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like you can definitely like in a Hail Mary situation, if you're like, all right, I have to like Growth Spiral into like this.
Fabled Passage into like Hydroid Crisis, some dumb shit.
But it's like, but if I hit it, I win the game. So yeah, it's super cool. I think that, and that's kind of what I was talking about a little bit with like ways that Wizards, like when we were talking about the green inscription, like ways that Wizards can like make cards strong but not busted. Because I don't think anything in this set's bannable yet, unless I'm missing something.
If anything's bannable within like historic, I don't think in historic there's anything that's bannable. I think in standard they need to take a look at Winota and Uro. I think that's issues for the format.
I'm talking historic, obviously.
Yeah, but historic, I think historic's really healthy.
I think that now we're kind of in a place where it's like, okay, now we got a bunch of new like potentially powerful cards, but not busted cards that can maybe shake this format enough that like it becomes more diverse and a little more fun.
Like, actually, I think the only thing that may be up for discussion is like, no, not even Muxus. I mean, like, Goblin decks are super annoying, but like, if you look at the last Invitational, they like one Goblins deck made it top 8.
Yeah,
it's like,
and that's not. Yeah, and considering how much of the field it was, I think it was like 30% of the field.
It was really high.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know, man. Maybe Muxus isn't that bad. Maybe it's just a feels bad because it's like you can't do much once it fucking hits the board.
Yeah, I
But
think it's definitely a feels bad. I mean, I don't know. I think Muxus is it's obviously very strong, but like outside of Muxus, like just like Languish or Wrath of God, like takes care of the deck. Like
well, the issue is that like it sometimes Muxus is played and it
no,
attacks.
that's why I said outside of Muxus.
Yeah, yeah.
Like out. So like if you could somehow like manage it, but like it's also hard to just manage. Like my opponent top decked it. Like
Yeah.
cool. Slam it down. Oh, I hit 5 things and they give my guys haste, hit you for 20. So like, yeah, Muxus, I think yes, but as far as the new set's concerned, nothing from the new set. I don't think. And I think that that's great. And I think going back to what I was originally saying, like how you were saying, like the decision points and this and that, cards like that make it more interesting. Like, yeah, the design of like those 3 mode cards, like in the inscription, like make cards like that. Make more cards like that. Make more cards that give you options, or make more cards that like do something that's powerful without it being busted. Like
that's why I love
limiting,
the mythic
limiting.
double face cards because they're good, but also like they're not like out of control. Like
Yeah, it's not
holy
like, oh, I
shit.
cast this 7-mana spell and I win the game. You don't win the game, but like it gives you something nice, and the fact that it's a land on the other side is just a nice bonus as well.
It's a
So
very nice bonus.
I think that like they did a good job with power level in this set.
Let's do a tier list, okay? Of ranking the 5 mythic double face cards. Which one do you think is the worst?
Hold on, let me look them up.
I'm gonna say this blue one.
I just want to have them in front of me just in case. Probably the blue one off the top of my head. What are they even called? I guess I could just go to Mythics. Hold on.
Yeah, mythic double face module cards. Modal cards, double face modal cards. I don't fucking know. It's like DFMC though, or DMF.
I'm just gonna look up the Mythic rares from the set.
Yeah, Kevin, what do you think?
I'm looking as well.
Red one's good. Black one is fine too. America's Call's fine. The blue one is like.
Okay, so the worst one so far, number 5.
And then what's the green one? Oh no, the green one's fine too. The green one's fine.
So the blue one is probably the worst one.
I think the blue one's the worst one.
Okay, what's
I would
number?
say-
It depends. So just on surface level, I think the blue one's worse. I do wanna say that if it turns out that like some sort of blue-white control deck is like very strong without this card, I think they run some number of them just because why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And I think then you might see the power level of it where they're just like, I've turned the corner. I have plenty of resources to deal with this. Let me cast this for 7 and just double my hand size.
Yeah, I mean,
But I don't think it's
think
not
face
winning
value.
you the game though.
yeah, face
you're
value. I think it's
not
all right. What's number 4?
I would say number 4 is probably the red one.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I think either the red one or the green one. I think the black one and the white one are the 2 best. besides
Really?
I think that probably the white or the green is. I think probably the white is next.
I think
For
the white
me?
one's next too, but like I don't think it's too far behind the other ones, just because like
It's not. No, the other ones are a lot closer. Like,
yeah,
because this one, once again, if you're playing like a blue-white control list, you're running some number, like 4 of these.
yeah, it's just like it's a land, or you just get 2 4/4s. Like what?
Yeah, and like the indestructible is very relevant.
Sean lost a limited game today because some guy goes Emiria's Call, and we didn't know about the clause where it's like non-angel creatures get indestructible. So when we tried to kill his 2 creatures, they didn't die, and we're like, oh shit.
I lose. The art is fucking sick too. But anyway, I'd say the white one. I think that I don't know. Like I think that like a blue-white control deck could literally play this as its win condition.
Yeah.
Like you play 4 of these in your deck, maybe some Teferis and shit, and just like that's it.
If they could have some way to bounce
that
lands back to their hand, I think they would be really good. Because then you play it early on as like a
As
land,
a land.
and then later on you just bounce it back, and now you have a spell and you play it.
Right, which is happening a lot in limited, like you saw it today with my
Yeah,
stream.
dude, we'll talk about.
Which
I,
is-
I kind of want to talk
yeah.
a little bit about limited in a bit.
We could. So I would say that, but like, I don't even think it's that bad compared to
Yeah.
the other ones.
Yeah, I agree.
I think, like, I don't even know how to really rank the other three because
Wait,
the green one.
I want to hear
Go
why
ahead.
Kevin thinks the red one is number 4.
I don't know. I don't think it's that good against. So it deals X damage. So it's X red deals X damage as you choose among up to 2 target creatures and/or planeswalkers. If X is 6 or more, it deals twice X divided as you choose among them instead. So you're only hitting 2 creatures. You're only hitting
5.
2 things maximum. And think about against goblins. You want to kill Skirk Prospector and say Snoop. That's 5 mana to kill 2 creatures. And then the whole, like, if X is 6 or more, I feel like doesn't matter at all because, like, that's 8 mana to kill an Uro. Like, I feel like it's just not.
That's fair.
I don't know. I just feel like I can't think of a red deck that is running it.
I think
Right?
it's
Like, I have it in my Phoenix deck. Like, is it Phoenix deck? And I just never play it because, like, it's just. I'm never looking to invest 5 mana to deal 3 damage to something.
So I was watching a bit of
That's
like.
fair.
So I'm a Kuroki's deck writer. I'm just gonna let everyone know
We
that
know.
right now. But like I've been watching him play, and like the card's been like performing really well. Like the parts where he just needs that as land, it's like whatever, it's just a land. But like there's a lot of spots where it's like if that were just a mountain or some sort of basic like some other land, like he would have maybe lost or he would have been a lot further behind. But now it's like, oh, you just randomly have removal now. Plus like you could just use it as like let's say you're on the draw, your opponent goes, or no, you're on the play, your opponent goes turn 2 Lotus Cobra, like you need to remove that right away. And if you have that in hand, you just play land is X equals 1, kill Lotus Cobra, right there.
Yeah, I think it has. I think it just has more flexibility than the other two, and I think that's why, and I think that's why the red and black ones are quote unquote probably the best two because
it's X.
It's X, right? Like 7 is a lot, but like X, now we're like, oh, okay, like I can play this for 2 or for 3, and still get a lot of value out of it, or some value. And like you said, like worst case scenario is like, okay, it's 3 mana deal 1, which is like obviously feels bad, but like if you need to do it, you have the option now. So
yeah.
like. That's kind of like where my head's at. And I also want to preface, I think it's very difficult to play these in like 3 color decks.
I think so too.
Probably impossible just because you don't have the land-based space for them.
No.
Definitely not in like an Omnath deck. So.
But yeah, like Kevin, I think if you play with it more or play against it more, you'll be like, okay, this card is better than what it is.
It was a bomb in limited for me today. Somehow got past.
Sean won like 3 or 4 games where like it just won the game.
It just won me the game. Like it was my 3rd pick in the pack. Like I don't know how 2 people were just like, this card's fucking trash. I was like, what?
Even if like they thought it was trash or didn't fit their colors, like
just take it.
Take it because
it's a mythic.
And it's like it's gonna be a staple because it's a land essentially. It's a fucking land. Just grab it.
And you're just taking it from a player who wants it, right? Like.
Yeah. Anyways, okay, so moving on to number 3. For me, I think 3 and 2 is tied for me with the green and black one.
Fair.
So you think the red one's the best one?
I think red one's the best one.
I like the black one.
I like the black one too. I mean, I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to quantify that. Like
for me, I haven't found a deck that like the black one is like amazing in. But then again, I haven't really played a deck that like has had so many different mana costs of creatures that like I can fully take advantage of like bringing back 4 creatures or 3 creatures.
If you can hit 3, if you can hit 4, that's busted. If you get 3, it's really good.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
my thought process in it is basically like if you're playing like Rakdos or Mono Black or Orzhov like aggro, and you're against like a control deck or
Hmm.
something, and they just board wipe you on turn 4 or something and kill 3 or 4 of your creatures, you're like, I lose the game.
yeah,
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, I can pay 6 mana
redeploy all three.
out, bring back anything with CMC 3 or less from my graveyard, and just
No,
kind of
Yeah,
no, it's one of each converted mana cost.
yeah.
It's not everything. So you can do a 1 cost, 1 2 cost, 1 3 cost. Yeah.
Which
yeah.
is still like
So
it's
good.
still good though. Like
Yeah.
if you're going like we were talking about it earlier with like you run Archfiend vessels in that deck. You run like whatever else. Like you can run like an Ooze and you can run like Grakmaw in like a Golgari deck. I'm just pick 3 random creatures that are all good
Yep.
and like bring them all back now like turn 6.
Yep.
And you might have some other options because you might have played stuff earlier. If
And
you do that, now you're getting like the Grakmaw died, so you have a 3/3. You get Grakmaw back, so you have that. You have a 5/5, and then whatever your 2-drop was.
the very rare situations in Arcanist where like I think it's gonna be really good is like because because if you're playing like a Luris as your companion, everything's going to cost 2 or less for permanent. So like at most you can bring back 2 creatures, but there are going to be the rare times where you cast it for 3 and you bring back Luris, something else, and another card, and then you just play something else with Luris, and you're just like, cool.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah. The green one though is definitely powerful. Like I don't know. Sorry, I don't know like what your ideal target would be. Like if you're running obviously like Ulamog new deck, like
I
it's
well,
pretty insane.
even then, like I think sometimes it's just like you just dig 7, find a creature, and if you find something big, usually it's pretty good. And if you don't find something big, like you find a creature that costs 3 or less, it gets 3/1/1 counters.
Yeah,
So like
it becomes a big thing.
yeah, like today when I was
And
playing against you, like I was doing it in that green white counters deck, and so like I used it a couple times just to find like Jade Light Ranger, and so Jade Light Ranger entered. It was a 5/4, explored twice. Oh, it became a 7/6, and I'm like,
yeah,
that's pretty relevant that you just
yeah,
get a
no,
7/6.
yeah, you've cast it like twice in one game, and it hit like Jade Light both times, or it hit like a Wild Growth Walker one time, and I was just like, cool. So now I have to deal with this card. Like
Yeah.
it's true. So like it's not bad, but it's not like I don't think it's busted.
Mm-mm.
I think it's like one of those things like we're saying like you just run 2 in your deck because it's a land, and when you cast it, right? Like
Yep, it's just good. Sometimes you just get to
sometimes
play it.
it's just better than top decking a land, right? So like
Exactly.
yeah, so they're fun. They're
Mhm.
definitely fun. I definitely think the blue one's by far behind the rest.
Mhm.
And everything else up for debate, obviously. But I think the other 3, like those last 3, have like a lot of utility.
Wait, Kevin. So
So
how did you rank the last 3 from 3, 2, 1? Because you
Well,
said
I thought the black one was any number of creatures with CMC extra less.
oh, okay.
So it's very different. I think the white one's very good. I guess the red one is good, right?
Yeah.
The more you think about it.
yeah, I think the red one's fine.
I think inherently the red and the black, like Sean was saying, inherently the red and the black are just good because you don't have to put 7 mana into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just scales with the game, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it's flexible early on too if you really need it.
mm-hmm. Yeah, like even like Agadeems, like if you just want to do it for 1 and get a 5/5 demon with flying out, cool.
Or you need to like Stitcher Supplier so you get enough cards in the graveyard for Croaks at next
Yeah.
turn. You're just like, all right,
If that's
cool.
just like your best option, then go for it, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the white one's just good in. I think you include at least 2 of them in any control deck that's running white.
I agree.
Just because it's
or some sort of white weenie deck if that's ever a thing in historic. I think in standard like you just white weenies are always gonna run it because like you always have those games where you're like, I drew 4 lands in a row.
Yeah, it's always a game where you're blood for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was kind of something I was saying to Zach, like in the when this card was like first spoiled, and I think Pagoda was like, "Holy shit, this card's absolutely busted." And like me and Zach were talking, we were like, "I don't think it's absolutely busted, but I think that it has applications, definitely in a control deck." And then I was like, "But also like, I was like, I think it has like legit applications in like a blue a white tempo or aggro deck, like whether it be like
Yeah.
white green or like white black or just white blue, whatever it is."
Yeah, just
And
take
like,
any existing deck you have right now and take out 4 planes and just put in 4 of that.
yeah. And I don't know if you put 4 in, but I think you put 2 in for sure, and just be like, "Hey, if I draw this late game, like you realize you're playing this in an aggro deck and you can't get board wiped, so you win the game."
Yep.
Yeah, I remember I shit on the card when I first saw it because
Yeah.
I didn't know it was the land on the other side.
Oh yeah.
I was like, Grogu was like, this card's insane. It's 7 mana, big 2/4. I was like, is Grogu high? What is happening?
Yeah, dude, I was freaking out. I was like, dude, this is like actually so insane. And then like all of you guys were like, are you high? Are you stupid? Like, I'm like, am I reading this card wrong? Like, what? I like this is this not just a good flexible card to have?
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah, but if it was just 7 mana, do that and no other like.
Oh yeah.
It was just like
Let's. There's 2 things I want to talk about because I'm just like looking at rares right now. One, we never talked about pathway lands, so we'll go back to that.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Yeah.
I want to talk about Felidar Retreat real quick.
Okay, and then we'll wrap it up after that.
Sure. What do you guys think about Felidar Retreat, like as a card?
I like it.
I think it's really
good.
Yeah, I think it offers you 2 pathways in a deck where you want those 2 options. Like I think I have it in that company list I was talking about, that junk one. I don't know if it's sticking, but like the game I played it was really good because I either have a lot of creatures out, and now my landfall's just like growing my board.
It's Field of the Dead Light. That's what it is.
Yeah, and like it was growing my board, and I run Grakma in that deck. So like now everything has counter. So if anything dies, he gets bigger. And then in like a situation where like all your shit gets removed, like in a control matchup, now it's just making a 2/2 every turn, and then you can start pumping them. So I think it's very strong.
I think at worst, it's a sideboard card.
Exactly.
I saw a Selesnya tokens list that was running it with Skewed Swarm.
Oh, geez.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
That is stupid.
Yeah.
Oh lord.
It seems amazing. Just make a huge board and just pump everything.
Just pump all the fucking swarms. Yeah.
I think that's really good.
Dude, I got scared. Someone played that against me today in limited. I got really scared because I was like, this needs to die now.
Yeah. Like, all right, please kill it.
Like he cloned it once, and I was like, no, this is not happening right now. So like, I just all of a sudden started swinging all out. I'm like, you better start fucking blocking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Felidar Retreat I think it's a good card. Like, I think it fits in your Omnath deck almost. Like, I don't know if it's main boardable, but if not,
maybe
like sideboard, because like
maybe
it's an enchantment, so like it dodges creature removal now, and I mean you're playing a lot of lands with that deck. Why not just get free creatures that
more
can grow?
creatures? It might be good in the control matchup.
Or
just
like
have to look because
the mirror.
It's super hard to like find slots in that deck now at this point.
Yeah,
because I feel like I'm slow. I've kind of figured out like what the most powerful cards for those colors that I want to run are. But it's not impossible. And as you said, like I'm dropping a ton of lands, so like why not? But anyway, so the pathways are the new, rare lands, untapped lands in this set.
I love them.
What are your guys' thoughts?
I love them.
Same. I think they're really good.
I think maybe in historic, you're not going to see it as played as much, or if you do, it's not like 4-ofs. But like standard, that's insane. Like you don't have to.
It's a nice standard.
You don't have to shock yourself.
Nice.
And I
don't
think
have to shock yourself.
Actually, I lied. I think you will see 4-ofs in historic because
you will.
Why?
In
why
two color
not?
Decks.
Yeah, like
in 2-color decks, you will.
Why play a basic plains when you could play a plains that has like a green on the other side? Like there may be some random time where like you need green mana because you stole a card or some shit. I don't fucking know. But there's no reason not to run the other color.
Yeah, I agree. I think that like if you're splashing even super like this lets you splash like very easily, or even just in a 2-color deck, it's just like it's fine, right? Like you
Yeah.
just run shocks, these buddy lands, cool, we're good. Like
Yeah.
my land base is literally perfect in a 2-color deck now.
Hmm.
Um, and
Well,
they did the weird thing again where they're like, we're gonna print 6 of them in this set and 4 of them in the next set, probably, because we only got 6 of them. So
yeah.
I'm,
I will
I'm,
say
I'm looking forward to the other
one
ones.
one last thing before we wrap up. We have to be careful about the check lands now, like Dragon Skull Summit and Drowned Catacomb,
Yes.
because the pathways do not count as the land type. It's just a land. So like
Right.
Yep.
if you're running like those and you're counting your bolt lands, and you're using like tapped creature spells, those do not count as like a swamp island, whatever. So like the
Right.
only thing you would rely on is like shocks and basics, and most decks are cutting down on those to fit these tap spells, these
Right.
bolt bans. So that's one thing to be very careful about. Like at some point, it's like, do I run this, or do I just run like the cycle land where it's like it's gonna come into play tapped anyways, but I could cycle it away if I ever need to, or do I play
Right.
like a temple where I can scry one? I don't know, but like that's something to consider when you're deck building.
Yep. Absolutely.
All right,
Cool.
one last thing. Yes,
No, that's it. I think. Yeah, that's it.
yeah,
I
we're
think,
we're
we're just about at our time, right?
yeah,
So,
we're actually a little over.
Cool.
There's a lot to talk about there. But yeah, that's episode 4 of the Magic and Life podcast. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thanks, guys.
We should be here again next week. So catch you later. Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.